What's up, everyone? How's it going? Thanks for joining us today. I have a super fun lesson for you today because I'm going to talk to you about ways that you can communicate more clearly. So, this is really going to help your speaking because we're going to talk about pronunciation, and that's going to help us, again, communicate more clearly so that we understand each other. And the way that we're going to do that is that today I'm going to talk to you about word stress. So, this is very important, like I said, that we really need to be able to understand each other when we're talking. So it doesn't matter if you have an accent. The most important thing is that we understand each other. And this connects with word stress because we need to pronounce and we need to say words correctly so that everybody understands what we're trying to say when we want to express our thoughts, our opinions, and have just a conversation. Because sometimes when we make these little small mistakes, it does change the meaning. So what I want to talk to you about today are 6 different word stress rules that you can keep in mind that's going to help you improve your pronunciation. So, hello, Adas, Mitchum, Long. Great to see you guys. Sorry if I missed some names. Thanks for joining me. And no matter when you are watching this, please write your name in the comments. Tell me where you're from because we love hearing from you guys. So today we're talking about word stress and the rules behind word stress. I have 6 rules for you, and I have this little quote right here. First, learn the rules, then break them. So I don't want to encourage you to say, hey, just break the rules. I just thought it was a nice image. And it is important to learn rules, especially when the rules actually exist, to understand them. And then once we understand them, sometimes, as always in any language, rules are broken. Maybe you want to make a point or be funny. But again, it is important to learn the rules. So today I'm going to talk to you about 6 rules when it comes to word stress so that we can improve our pronunciation and communicate clearly and we can all understand each other. So let's first look at, why learn word stress? Why should we do this? I had already mentioned that, yes, it helps us communicate clearly and it makes it easy for everyone to understand what you're saying. So if we are, no matter which word we're talking about, if we are using word stress correctly, then it's going to be that much easier to understand each other. And that is the most important thing. Again, it doesn't matter if you have an accent. The most important thing is that we understand each other, mutual intelligibility, that we know what everyone is talking about, and that way we can communicate easily and communicate clearly. So in order to understand word stress, we need to take the word and really break it down into its different parts. And when we do that, we are talking about syllables. Okay, and a syllable, as I said, is just one unit of sound. So every word has one or more syllables. And a syllable is just one unit of sound, and it has one vowel sound. That's very important, that it is always going to have one vowel sound. And it may also be surrounded by consonants. It come at the beginning or at the end, or maybe it's just the vowel sound and there are no consonants. So when we break words down, we break them down into syllables. And when we know how many syllables a word has, then we can think about, which syllable is going to get the word stress. Hello, Gosia, Eduardo, John, Hanad, Brandon, thanks for joining me. Glad you guys are here. Again, no matter when you're watching this, write your name, say what's up in the comments. We like to hear from you guys. And in today's lesson, again, as with all of our lessons, we want you guys to participate. I'm going to be asking you guys questions throughout this lesson. I want you to write your answers in the comments. I would also recommend that you practice your speaking, and we're going to say some sentences and practice word stress. So once we have a word, we can break it down into its parts, into syllables, and then start thinking about, well, which word is going to get that stress? Because word stress basically is when one of those syllables gets a little bit more emphasis than the others. We are going to say it a little louder. We're going to have it say it with a higher pitch, and that is actually going to help us say the word correctly and say it clearly so that everyone can understand. So I'm going to give you some words, all right? And I want you to tell me how many syllables the word has and which syllable do you think gets the stress. So if you're trying to think of a word, one way to tell how many syllables a word has is that if we take our hand and we put it below our chin and we say the word, the number of times that our chin hits our hand is the number of syllables. So, for example, let's look at this word right here. And I think you guys know what is this word, all right? That's pretty easy. I want you to tell me how many syllables this word has, okay? How many syllables in this word, all right? And again, if we want to use this technique right here and say the word is banana, all right? Banana. You can see, could you see how many times my chin hit my hand, all right? I'll say it again, banana. You should have counted 3. There are 3 syllables in the word banana, and the stress is on that second syllable, banana. And again, when we're talking about syllable stress, you don't want to overemphasize it. So it's not banana. No, it's just banana. And I think when you're listening, you should be able to hear that second syllable get a little more emphasis. Banana. And you can repeat these words after me, all right? Banana. Banana. Let's look at the next word. So the next word right here, it's not a flag. I'm going for the country. Which country is this? And if you're not sure which country it is, I will tell you. It is Germany. So in the comments, how many syllables does the word, the country, Germany, how many syllables does it have? Germany. And which syllable is getting the stress? So we can count the syllables again. Germany. Germany. 3 syllables. Germany. So which syllable is getting the stress? Is it the first, the second, or the third syllable? Germany. 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 What do you guys think? So again, yes, it has 3 syllables, and that stress, you should have said, ta-da, the first syllable. So the first syllable is going to get that emphasis. Germany. If you got that right, hit that like button. Let me know so I know, like, yes, all right, you guys are rocking this. Let's do one more. And this is a longer word. So you have that person there opening the refrigerator. So that's our word, refrigerator. How many syllables does the word refrigerator have? How many syllables does it have? Write it in the comments. I want to know. And again, it's good to practice. You can use this technique right here if you want to count the syllables and know. And this is a good way, again, for trying to understand a word and be able to break it down into its parts, into the number of syllables. So let's say this one together and you guys can count, all right? So refrigerator. How many times did it hit refrigerator? 5 times. So the word refrigerator has 5 syllables. Which one do you think has the stress? Refrigerator. I hope that you said that second syllable. So you can hear this again. Refrigerator. Refrigerator. Can you hear that second syllable get a little more emphasis? Refrigerator. Now, if you're trying to think of, oh, okay, like I'm not sure what to use, what source, if I want to find out how many syllables it has, a good resource that I like to use is dictionary.com. I will leave a link in the description. You can go check it out. You put the word in there, and it breaks down the word just like this into its syllables, and it highlights which one gets the stress. So refrigerator has 5 syllables, and the stress is on the second syllable. So now that we've talked about breaking words down into their parts, and we know that words have one or more syllables, let's talk about some word stress rules when it comes to pronouncing and saying these words correctly. So the first rule that I have for you is this one right here. We are talking about most 2-syllable nouns. And again, pay close. I said most. It is not all 2-syllable nouns. It is most 2-syllable nouns. And in the comments, I want you to think of a 2-syllable noun and write it in the comments and share with us. And think about ones that have the stress on the first syllable. Because most 2-syllable nouns, again, that stress, and I tried to show you with those 2 dots right there, the stress is on the first syllable when we're talking about these words right here, 2-syllable nouns. And I will say the words, and again, it helps. Repeat them after me. It doesn't matter where you are. You can say it out loud and practice your speaking, or you can just say it in your mind, all right? So the first word, garden. Garden. Rocket. Rocket. Ocean. Ocean. And then finally, chicken. Chicken. So with each of those words, you should have been able to hear that first syllable has a little bit more stress. There's a little more emphasis on that first syllable. So again, in the comments, in the chat, write some words, some nouns, people, places, or things that have 2 syllables. All right, so you can share with us. So somebody said yes. Object, all right, 2 syllables, stresses on the first one. Breakfast, excellent. Friday, perfect. Days of the week, Friday, stresses on that first syllable. So most 2-syllable nouns, the stress is on the first syllable. This is also the case if we're talking about 2-syllable adjectives. And again, most is the key word. Not all, most 2-syllable adjectives, it's the same. The stress is going to be on that first syllable. So if we have these words right here, again, I will say the word and I want you guys to repeat. Repeat after me. Say these words out loud so that we can get a little speaking practice going. Ready? So the first one is easy, clever, anxious, splendid. So again, this is easy. These are some easy word stress rules that you can follow. So if you come across a 2-syllable adjective, all right, probably the stress is going to be on the first syllable. Easy, clever, anxious, splendid. So keep this in mind. These are good rules to follow when we're trying to learn the correct pronunciation. All right. If you guys are speaking, I want to know. If you're actually practicing, write that in the chat. Write the word speaking so I know, okay, you guys are actually doing this. You are participating in these lessons because that's what we want. We want you to interact. This is, after all, interactive English. Let's look at another rule. So we know that with most 2-syllable nouns and 2-syllable adjectives, the stress is going to be on the first syllable. How about 2-syllable verbs? If we're talking about 2-syllable verbs, most of the time, with most words, the stress is on the second syllable. Now, I think most verbs out there, many of them, especially the most common ones, only have 1 syllable. So you don't need to worry about this as much. But if the verb has 2 syllables for most of the time, it's going to be on that second syllable. So again, I want you to say these words, repeat them after me. The first one, enjoy. Enjoy. Relax. Everybody loves to relax. Suggest. Suggest. And then finally, become. Become. You should, as I'm saying these, and you guys are listening and practicing your listening skills, you should be able to hear the stress on that second syllable. Enjoy, relax, suggest, and become. An exception would be, again, I'm thinking of an exception because, again, it's not with all of them. Think of the verb open, all right? Open, to open something, has two syllables, but in that case, the stress is on that first syllable, that O. Open, open. So there are always going to be exceptions to these rules, but these are good ones to follow if you guys are trying to figure out, okay, how do I say this word correctly? And I want to say that this isn't something this is good practice right now. So we're going through this and you're learning these rules, because this isn't when you're having a conversation, you're not going to stop and think like, okay, wait a second. How many syllables does this word have? Where's the stress? That's not the case. This is more for if you hear a word and you use it all the time and maybe you're listening for it and you hear like, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly. Then that's the time that you can look up this information and know, okay, well, where is the stress in this word? How do I pronounce this correctly and clearly? So that is when you can really use that. And these are some good rules to follow because, again, if you're talking about a verb and you learn a new verb and it has two syllables, then you probably know, okay, the stress is probably going to come on that second syllable. So now I want to look at these, all right? When we're talking about nouns and verbs, sometimes a word can be either a noun or a verb. And I want to talk about some of those words right now. And these words follow those same rules that we discussed before. So if the word is a noun, the stress is going to come on that first syllable. If the word is a verb, the stress is going to be on the second syllable. So again, I want you guys to say these. I'm going to say these words. I suggest you guys practice and practice with me. So I'm still going to see some of the speak. Patricia, it looks like, oh, you're speaking. Excellent. Thank you. Again, somebody said, Junior, you're practicing. Perfect. All right. Vivian, excellent. Keep practicing. Say these words out loud. It helps. I know that I can't hear you, but still you can hear me and it's good practice. All right. So let's say these words. These are words that are both nouns and verbs. Let's look at these nouns first right here. So the stress is on the first syllable. Present, present. Object, object. Conduct, conduct. So you should be able to hear the stress on that first syllable. Now, if we are using these words as verbs, as we are down here, listen and repeat after me how I say this. So present, present. Object, object. Conduct, conduct. We are going to practice these more later because I have some sentences for you that I want you to repeat and practice, and that's really going to help you have a better idea, again, when to switch back, because this is something common right here that learners might make a bit of a mistake. And instead of saying the noun, they might say it like the verb. And most people will be able to understand, but it might cause a little bit of confusion. So this is a good rule to follow. If you are looking, there is a list. I will leave a link in the description to, you can click on it and see more words that are like this, a list of words, two-syllable words that are both nouns and verbs. And you can see the words that they have listed for you because there's many of them. There's a lot of them out there. So this is a good rule to follow. Another rule is that words that end in tion and S-I-O-N, and there are many of these words out there, the stress is on the second to last syllable. The stress is on the second to last syllable. So these are some examples that I've given you. And for the sake of consistency, I chose words that all have 3 syllables. So in all of these, because they have 3 syllables, the words end with T-I-O-N or S-I-O-N. The stress is on the second to last syllable, so it's going to be on that middle syllable. So let's say these words again together. Ambition, ambition. Position, position. Decision, decision. And collision, collision. So if you are listening to me say these words, you should be able to hear that second syllable has a little more emphasis, all right? Ambition, position, decision, collision. Now, as I said, there are words that also end with T-I-O-N. Whoops, there it is. With T-I-O-N or S-I-O-N. And the stress is going to be on that second to last syllable. For example, what about the word pronunciation? Pronunciation ends in T-I-O-N. How many syllables does it have? Pronunciation. 5 syllables, all right? Pronunciation. And the second to last syllable is that A sound. Pronunciation. Pronunciation. You should hear it on that 4th syllable because it's the second to last syllable and that is going to have the stress, all right? So this is a good rule to follow. The 6th rule before we do our practice that you guys can follow. And in the comments, I want you to think if you know of any words that end in CY, TY, PHY, GY, or AL, the stress is on the third to last syllable. So in the comments, I want you to write some words that end in either CY, TY, PHY, GY, or AL. Because again, it's good to have a list so that if people look at the comments and look through it, they can see the word that you have written and then try to say it to themselves and see if they can identify the stress on that third to last syllable. So let's say these words right here. Again, I've chosen all words that have 4 syllables so that it's easier to visualize because I'm using these dots right here. And in this case, I've highlighted, I've circled the end of the word. So that CY, the PHY, the GY, the CAL. And you can see that the stress is on the third to last syllable, which means for these words, it's on the second syllable. So let's say these words together. Ready? Democracy, democracy. Geography, geography. Technology, technology. And illogical, illogical. I hope it helps to be able to see this right here and the words being broken down into their syllables and then being able to see the stress. I've capitalized those letters so that you guys can see it a little more clearly and a little more easily. So we have some great examples of words that end in the AL, typical, what else? Digital, exactly. Psychology, another great one. Geology, magical. These are all great words. And again, it's going to follow this rule. The stress is on the third to last syllable. And again, a great resource if you're looking to say, oh, okay, I have a word. I want to know where the syllable stress is. Dictionary.com is what I like to use, and there is a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. And you can put in a word, and it'll show you how many syllables, and it'll highlight where the stress is. So, are you ready? Are you ready to start speaking? Are you ready to practice? Because this is what I want you to do. I'm going to give you a sentence, okay? And I want you to read the sentence. You can read it to yourself. I would recommend saying it out loud. And then I'm going to tell you the sentence and say it. And then we're going to break it down into its parts, and I'm going to show you where the emphasis is, where the stress is for each word in the sentence. Again, I recommend say this out loud. It doesn't matter when you're watching this, if you're watching it now or later. This is good practice. It's good speaking practice. So the first sentence that I have for you is right here. Okay, look at this sentence. Say it to yourself. Say it out loud. All right. You don't have to think about, okay, well, where's the stress? Where's the stress? Just try and say it and see what comes naturally. Because again, when you're having a conversation, when you're communicating with others, you're not going to stop and think about, wait a second, where's the stress? You're just going to try and say it naturally. And again, this is how we improve, because we just start using it correctly. And then it's just going to become embedded in our minds. And we're just going to start using the words correctly and saying them correctly. So the sentence right here, all right, let's say this sentence together. You can repeat it after me. My philosophy teacher presented me with this awesome present. My philosophy teacher presented me with this awesome present. So let's look and see how this sentence is broken down. So I've rewritten the sentence and I've capitalized the letters, that stress that's going to have a little more emphasis. And I will say it again. I'll say it a little slower, and I'll try to emphasize it a bit more so you can hear it. So my philosophy, remember, it ends with the PHY, that third to last syllable. Philosophy. My philosophy teacher, that's a noun, the stress, two-syllable noun, stress is on the first syllable. Presented. So this is the verb, the stress is on that second syllable. Again, this is in the past tense, so the ED is like going to have a third syllable, but we're only talking about the main verb here. That stress is still on that second syllable. Presented me with this awesome, it's a two-syllable adjective, stress is on the first syllable, present. That is again a noun. The stress is on the first syllable. So we use present 2 times in this sentence, once as a verb and once as a noun. Let's say it again. My philosophy teacher presented me with this awesome present. If you said this correctly, let me know. Hit that like button so I know, like, oh, okay, you guys are getting it. Also, let's look at the next one, okay? Ready? Easy peasy. Here we go. Think of this sentence. How would you say it? Think about it. Say it in your mind or say it out loud. Practice your speaking. Okay? Just say what comes naturally. Are you ready? So you can repeat it after me. Society objects to organizations that use people as objects. Society objects to organizations that use people as objects. Let's look at this sentence now with its individual parts. So the first one, society, all right, ends with that TY. Society objects. The verb stresses on the second syllable, objects to organizations, ends in the TION syllable, the second to last syllable, that ze, organizations that use. Now, use is a verb, but it's just one syllable. So again, that's going to have that stress. That use people as a noun, stresses on the first syllable, as objects. So in this sentence, I used objects twice, once as a verb and once as a noun. Society objects to organizations that use people as objects. If you are practicing your speaking, let me know. Write it in the comments. Whether you're here with us now or watching it later, just write speaking, because then I'm going to give you huge props for actually interacting and participating and learning with us. So write that in the comments, speaking. Let's look at another one. Okay, here is another sentence. How would you say it? Think about how you would say this sentence. Say it out loud. Practice your speaking. And then we can say it together. All right. Okay, so for this sentence, we would say, she conducted the communications meeting with such professional conduct. She conducted the communications meeting with such professional conduct. I hope that you said it just like that. If you did, hit that like button. Let me know. So this is how we would break it down into parts, all right? She conducted the verb, stress on the second syllable. She conducted the communications. Remember, communications. She conducted the communications meeting, which is a noun, with such professional conduct. It ends professional, ends in the AL, that third to last syllable, that professional conduct. She conducted the communications meeting with such professional conduct. Okay, so again, you guys, this is a great way. John, Lau, Rosa, excellent. Thank you guys for speaking. If you are doing this, write that in the chat. Let me know that you guys are actually practicing saying these words. And I would recommend, you go back and do it again and practice saying these sentences, or even, again, this is something that people can do on your own. You could write your own sentence. If you learn a word and you found out, oh, I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, write a sentence with it, find how it's used in context, and just practice saying that sentence and saying it with the correct word emphasis, because again, this is going to help you speak clearly, and we can communicate easily with each other and everybody can understand. So I want to quickly review with you the 6 rules that I talked about in this lesson. So the first rule that we discussed was for most 2-syllable nouns, remember, the stress is on that first syllable. Garden, rocket, ocean, chicken. If we're talking about most 2-syllable adjectives, again, the stress is on that first syllable. Easy, clever, anxious, splendid. Now, if we're talking about most 2-syllable verbs, the stress is on that second syllable. Enjoy, relax, suggest, become. Those were the first 3 rules. The 4th rule that I was telling you about, which can be a little tricky, is if the word is both a noun and a verb. In this case, you really need to pay attention to the part of speech. Is the word used as a verb or is it used as a noun? Because if it's used as a noun, the stress is on the first syllable. Present, object, conduct. If it's a verb, the stress is on the second syllable, present, object, conduct. The 5th rule is this one right here. If the words that end in tion or sion, the stress is on that second to last syllable. And it doesn't matter how many syllables the word has, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that stress is going to be on the second to last one. So ambition, position, decision, collision. All right, communication, pronunciation. And I'm overemphasizing right now, so you can really listen for it. But that's, again, you don't want to overemphasize. It's just kind of a little bit of a small emphasis. And the last rule that we talked about was words that end in either cy, ty, phy, gy, or al. The stress is on that third to last syllable. Democracy, geography, technology, and illogical. Those were the 6 word stress rules that you guys can practice to really help you improve your pronunciation and help you speak more effectively and communicate easily with other people. So again, thank you guys so much for being here. Safe, Rosa, Will, Fabio, Abby. Nita, Freddie, Long, thank you guys. Excellent. Abby has one quick question about address. So address is another one that can be either a verb or a noun. As a noun, it would be address. But as a noun, some people might also pronounce it address. So that's a little bit of a tricky one because as a noun, it could go either way. But as a verb, it's definitely the stress is going to be on that second syllable, address, to address someone. Thank you guys again, Patricia, Junior. Thank you guys for being here. Please, if you enjoyed this lesson, like and share it with others. Help us spread the word and grow our classroom. You guys can follow us down here on our social media and join those classes. We're always posting questions to help learners practice and improve their English skills. And if you have any other questions, this video is going to get posted. Write it in the comments. Write to us. We love hearing from you guys. And we try to answer as many comments as we can. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you next time.